Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trylko from the Sons of UCF, joined by Eric Lopez of the Black and Gold Banneret. Adam Eaton is on assignment this week. Welcome to Around the Kingdom. Before we begin, we mourn the passing of UCF's offensive line coach, Shawn, who died Sunday night, just 50 years old. Our condolences to his family, wife Janelle, and children Gianna and Braxton. May he be a memory, long-standing memory for many. May he rest in peace. Just a day earlier, Elo, UCF on the highest of highs, a complete game victory over North Carolina. They moved to 3-0, the Knights did, convincingly, 34-9 over North Carolina. A complete game, the best of the three the Knights have played thus far this season.
It was. It's a complete, balance. I thought it was good complementary football. I thought the defense, once again, was solid, really controlled the North Carolina offense. And I think UCF's offense was very complimentary to the defense, had some good long drives, especially that fourth quarter. They were efficient. I think that was really a complete game, and really one that UCF hasn't had in a long time against a Power 4 school. We've seen those maybe against some of the FCS schools, but I think for Scott Frost and company, a really solid win. Granted, against an opponent that's probably pretty inferior at this point, not really good, but nonetheless, they took care of business. And that game really was, I don't think, was ever in question. Did you ever feel it in question in the game?
Can I say that I thought when North Carolina scored to make it 13-3, with less than 2 minutes to go, a little over a minute to go in the game, right? Maybe it's just years of watching UCF. I just thought they'd run the ball a couple of times, close out. North Carolina was going to get the ball to start the second half. But that was not what UCF did. They had taken timeouts to conserve the clock. Now, North Carolina aided them greatly with penalties on the drive, but UCF goes down the field, extends the lead to 20-3. And then I felt like they were in a pretty comfortable position. I also want to credit them. They got North Carolina to go 3 and out on the first drive of the second half. And then, the game-ending drive, UCF, a long drive, Elo. So you saw in Scott Frost where he said, don't expect UCF fast. The offense will be different. We saw two different things. An efficient drive to get down the field to score a touchdown before the half, and then a very long drive to control the clock and just put the end to North Carolina. So I really enjoyed both of the approaches there that UCF had in those drives.
He knows how to control pace and tempo. He doesn't have to go fast to be successful. You could go methodical. Whereas the previous regime, part of the criticism was boom or bust, right? I think this offense, while it may not be as explosive as the previous regime with the big plays, I think it could be more consistent as time goes. I think it's a confidence booster for the players and the coaching staff. And listen, good crowd. You were there. Very pleased. How would you grade the atmosphere there for a 3:30 kick?
Yeah, I think the fun is coming back to the bounce house. I feel that, there's still buy-in needing to occur. There's still some PTSD from the Malzahn era. And I think, though, that people are starting to buy in and had a good time watching UCF take care of North Carolina and Bill Belichick. So a complete game. They won all three phases. So I think fans are starting to buy in. They liked what they saw. And, 3 up, 3 down. Question for you, Elo. Jacksonville State, North Carolina, neutral field. What do you got?
I take Jacksonville State. I trust their defense. I certainly don't trust North Carolina's quarterback, Lopez. Terrible. I would have been more concerned if George Lopez was the quarterback in North Carolina. Now, despite the win, though, Trace, not everything was on full cylinders. I'm concerned about UCF's running game. Are you among the group that's concerned about this night's running game?
Not because of the running backs, but yes, because of the run blocking, Elo. Taven Jackson effectively showed us what he could do with his legs. Leading rusher, Jaden Nixon, 5 carries, 10 net yards. Okay, he had a touchdown, but not much. Miles Montgomery, about 2.9 yards per carry. Challenge here, especially when Big 12 play begins, and especially in a road environment, is if UCF cannot run the ball effectively, they become one-dimensional. And I think they worked around it with the use of Ja'Cory Brown, with the use of Taven Jackson. Effectively, they used it. But against a better defense than North Carolina showed, will they be able to get away with that? I think that's a question. And I think through 3 games, we haven't seen that improvement in the running game. So to answer your direct question, yes, I'm concerned about the running game.
Well, I think part of it is teams are playing more in the box, daring UCF to throw because they don't really are scared of the quarterback, Jackson, yet. So I'm not as concerned as everybody else is yet, but I understand the thought process. This is not a dominant offense. And listen, you did lose a running back that did get drafted in the 2nd round. I mean, it's not like, that's easy to replace overnight.
And, when we speak of Taven Jackson, I still haven't seen him connect consistently on the deep ball. I think we've seen him with shorter stuff, and he may be challenged. Maybe it doesn't happen at Kansas State, but there's going to be a game where he's challenged to connect deep. And so we'll see. I'd say concerned. Let's see what they do in their next one, Elo. The highly touted matchup, Scott Frost going against his former defensive coordinator, then with the Jets, late 90s. Bill Belichick, boy, what a salty guy he is, huh? I mean, just a humorless guy. I don't see the appeal. I know he had success, but I think as time passes, more and more of that, it looks like Tom Brady than Bill Belichick, though I certainly do think they were a team. But when you talk about this win over a name, right, and certainly Bill Belichick, maybe more than North Carolina on the national scene, best non-conference win of the Scott Frost era is 1 and 2 at UCF, in your opinion?
Of the regular season, let's put that,
yes.
Emphasize that because some people are going to be yelling, what about Auburn, Peach Bowl? That's not, on regular season. Trace, the irony is, I would argue to you, his best non-conference regular season win was a game that you and I were at, which was in Maryland in 2017. Remember, after the layoff with the hurricane and everything, and they went into Maryland and blew them out. And I remember, I think we both went to that locker room post game, and I thought everybody kind of felt like, wow, this team could be pretty good. I think this win, look, I don't think North Carolina is very good, but I do think this is a confidence booster if you are a believer in Scott Frost being the right guy for UCF. This is a confidence booster for the fan base and belief in him, for belief in his staff, for belief in these players. It's a confidence for the players and the staff. I don't know if it benefits them short term what this team is, but I think long term it helps build the foundation. And I do think it's a significant win from that standpoint, especially, Trace, when you look at the opposite sidelines. There ain't nobody at North. If you're a Tar Heel, how can you feel confident about anything with that fraud of a coach there who you're being kind about Tom Brady? Maybe he needed those Spygate videos. Maybe if he would have told him videos, maybe helped him. I think his legacy's tarnishing by the minute, whereas I think Scott Frost's legacy is growing.
Hey, North Carolina, they're looking ahead to basketball season, Elo. You know, what was also of significance with that Maryland game, Big Ten. And at that point in UCF's development, this is an American Conference program playing. Now, I don't know if I think of Maryland as a Big Ten program even to today, but it certainly was on paper then. And so you get a little more pumped for it. I didn't know that they would go undefeated over the course of that season, but you started to see something. And that was a dominating win on the road. This was a dominating win at home. Eli.
Hey, I remember when I saw you there, I'm like, wow, this Trylko guy means business. He's not messing around in coverage. If only we knew back then. All right. So UCF and North Carolina are scheduled for a rematch in 2027 in Chapel Hill. Who knows with scheduling and conferences? We'll get to that later. Yeah. But the question, Trace, is, will we get Frost versus Belichick, the sequel, in 2027?
You know, that's just 2 seasons away. I feel confident about the Scott Frost part of that matchup, Elo, more with every passing day. I don't feel confident about Bill Belichick. You talk about tarnished legacy. At what point is it not working? Now, he gets a pass, right? 60, 70 new players. Mind you, so did UCF. So that's a good snapshot of one head-to-head matchup, and UCF won that. But I'd say odds for me, no. Bill Belichick's not there in 2027.
I agree. If you're North Carolina, why would you want him there? Like, you could say, hey, he had 70 new faces. So did Scott Frost.
Yeah.
You look at that personnel in North Carolina. Did you feel confident that he can get the right players? Like, Gio Lopez was one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. They actually paid NIL money for him to be the starting quarterback.
Well, now UCF's made that mistake before in the past, too. I'll tell you what, he got knocked out by injury. The other quarterback was better.
Max
It may
Johnson.
have been a bigger problem for UCF if he had played the entire game.
But why wasn't Max Johnson starting to begin with? They got some problems there. And he's old, and the buyout is very low for him. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm very skeptical on that one.
All right, Elo. Scott Frost, 3 games in, 3-0. Mind you, year before that, 3-0 to start the season. Some of that is the benefit of the schedule. But with every passing moment, do you agree with me? Scott Frost is proving he's the right guy for this job. He speaks confidently at the mic that he's having a good time. We see his family come in and watch the postgame presser, right? Everything's clicking here where it didn't work in Nebraska.
Well, it's funny you bring up that place because while Scott Frost hit that 3:30 window was blowing out Bill Belichick in North Carolina, Nebraska was on the CBS channel losing to Michigan.
Another close loss. Not tied to Scott Frost.
Yeah, he ain't there. It's Matt Rule. Matt Rule's and they have this franchise quarterback, Raiola, that everybody thinks is so awesome that he's a wannabe Patrick Mahomes, except he doesn't win anything. Maybe the problem wasn't the coaching. Maybe the problem is the institution. Spencer Tillman said during the broadcast, granted, not the best of broadcasts, that he felt.
Tillman.
But what'd you make of it? I know you were at the game, but he said he felt that Frost has better talent right now at UCF than he ever did at Nebraska. Hello, that's alarming. Look, absolutely, you got to feel really confident if each week. Because don't you agree with me on this? If things go as well, this should be Frost's worst team at UCF. It should only get better.
Yeah,
right?
You'd like to think.
And look, they're 3 wins in. They blew out North Carolina. And you can just sense the fan base, like people just like Frost. And I think the confidence, the swagger of Scott Frost is coming back, which you caught a little glimpse of that in the postgame against North Carolina, talking about how Shawn Becton and Travis, we're not Central Florida. There's that swagger that people like about Frost.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I feel it was Scott Frost. But again, he hasn't lost yet, Elo, and he hasn't lost in a long time at this place. So let's see what happens if and when they experience a defeat and what that may look like. But I agree with you. You'd think this is the least amount of talent that he would have as he assembles his team.
All right, we are 3 games in. It's never too early to give out grades. Trace loves giving out
Not when you
grades.
do a show like this every week, Elo. You need moments where you can grade.
All right, give me your grades. Quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, offensive line.
All right, let's go back and forth here. Quarterback, B+. I'm not prepared to give it an A. I think Taven Jackson looked effective in his performance against North Carolina, ran the ball well. Not much that you could glean from the North Carolina A&T. He did come off the bench. He did lead him to victory, but there were some struggles in that game against Jacksonville State. B+.
I don't disagree with that. I would go B+. Now, are we including the Cam Fancher?
Yes.
Quarter?
Yes.
Yeah,
Quarterback.
Because I think Jackson for the most part would have had a higher grade. But yeah, I would agree with you on B+.
Running backs. This is tough because we just talked about whether we had concerns about the running game. B-, not because of the running backs. I think I trust them. B-, Elo.
So this is how do you grade this? Do you grade them based on just their performance, or are you comparing them to what they're replacing? Because that might be sometimes in the course that's very
just
difficult.
What they are. Just these running backs.
Yeah, I think B- is fair.
Wide receiver, B. Multiple guys are catching passes. Maybe there's no standout wide receiver, but they're spreading the ball around. Guys are making catches, and we're yet to see who's going to really emerge as the go-to guy, but that's fine. Multiple guys are getting passes. B, straight B.
I'm going to go B-. I'm not sure there's one there that when they play a real legitimate opponent that it's going to scare you yet. I still wonder about that. So I'm going to go B-.
Tight ends, sticking with B. They've been used more in this offense than maybe I was even expecting. B, straight B.
I'm going to go A-. We got 2 tight ends that you feel confident in being involved in the offense. I actually think the tight end position has been very strong when they're healthy.
Offensive line, C-. They get good grades for pass blocking, not so good on the rush blocking.
So I feel like I got to go incomplete on this. I got to give these guys a pass. Who knows what they've been through. I mean, their coach, obviously, with the health situation. Look, I understand they got to play games, and once you're playing, you're focused. But I can't imagine what these guys have been through, all of them, but especially that offensive line group. I don't feel comfortable giving out a grade yet. Even though I know if we were in a personal situation and we went to class, they probably wouldn't give us a break. But I'm going to go incomplete, Trace, just because they've had to deal with a lot of stuff off the field, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you give the better grade there. Let me take my C- back and give them some deference and some grace on that. All right, other side of the ball, the defense, Elo, defensive line.
A minus. I think it's been the strength of the team. I think it's been solid. Not the perfect, but I think it's been solid.
I'm going to give them an A. They got some pressure on North Carolina, right? They tipped some balls that led to some INTs, and so I give them an A. Linebacker.
Still got questions there. B minus. Who's the standout? Who's the one that can make plays when need be?
I think they've been solid, if unspectacular, but I'm going to give them an A. Defensive backs.
I'm going to go B. I'm going to go with a B there. They've kind of stayed with their assignments. One thing I will say about the defensive players, you don't see too many missed assignments to this point.
I'm going to give them an incomplete. I don't think they've been challenged yet, Elo. I don't think they were challenged by Jacksonville State, certainly not by North Carolina A&T. And what we saw of North Carolina's starting quarterback, I don't think they've been challenged yet. Let's see when they play a better quarterback. When we were talking about Jacksonville State versus North Carolina, you think about the quarterbacks we've seen over 3 games. Who stands out to you as a quarterback? I know they've knocked guys out of games, but who has stood out to you that has really pressured them? I don't think we've had enough sample size, Elo. Elo, you muted yourself.
Well, we got special teams. That's why I'm curious. Your thoughts, special teams and coaching.
B on special teams. A couple of misses. I don't know that Noe Ruelas that I trust him 40 out. I feel pretty confident inside the 40, but long distance, I don't know that I've seen that yet. So I'm going to give him a B.
I'll go with a B as well. I think, hey, listen, we got some good, we feel good about the kick return, don't we?
Yeah. Overall, feel good. Coaching, an A, Elo. I had to assemble the staff, and I feel now there's some things like penalties you'd like to see him cut down on, but fundamentals of football, blocking, tackling, for the most part, I feel pretty good about the decisions made, and I like the Scott Frost offense so far.
I would go A as well. I think that is definitely the route to go with from the grade standpoint here with the coaching. I think it's been solid. Outside of who you felt maybe should have been starting the quarterback there week 1, I feel pretty good about it.
All right, Elo, we turn now our attention to at Kansas State. An early kick, 11 o'clock, breakfast with Kansas State and UCF at the local time and Central Time, noon Eastern Time. Could that favor UCF? What's your opinion of this? Could it be an advantage, that early kick time? I remember George O'Leary said, hated the night games, sitting around the hotel all day. Get them on the bus, get them to the field. Let's play.
I do think it's an advantage. You were there a couple of years ago at night, right? It was pretty good atmosphere over there in Manhattan, and they were feeling good about themselves back then. They're not feeling as good right now, and that's just a team that's been a disappointment. Will the fan base be as fired up for an 11 a.m. kick in Manhattan? I think UCF could sneak in there, and now the disadvantage is Kansas State's coming off a bye. Do they rally the guys and play up to their abilities, or do they continue their struggles? But I do like the fact sneaking in there 11 a.m., maybe the crowd's a little flat, you jump on them early.
I think that's it. The night game experience is tremendous, but they've struggled, and I don't know that people believe in them in Manhattan, Kansas. Opportunity for UCF. I think there's an advantage their way.
Let's hope that it's an advantage, that's for sure, because I think that's going to be very interesting. Now, how confident are you, Trace, as you get ready to make the trip to Manhattan, about the Knights getting that road win? They're about a 5.5, 6.5 point underdog, depending where you look at in Manhattan. Still, some people not believers. Are you in? Are you all in? Do they come back home still undefeated?
As you said that you felt it was unfair to assign a grade to the offensive line, I think this is just an unprecedented week. I got to give them some grace. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how they're going to stay focused on football. That I don't mean to make an excuse, and I know they won't make that as an excuse, but this is a difficult time. Everybody has experienced, family, friends, a loss. This cuts deep for them, and I don't know how they're going to respond to that. That's a tough challenge. I think their spirits might have been buoyed. They've been at home for this one. I don't know. Maybe going on the road helps them get out of the environment a little bit and memories that surround them. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I think they are capable of winning on the road, but I'm not going to be surprised if they do lose.
I think everything you said is accurate. It's such a – there's no playbook for this.
Yeah.
You can't It's just an unfortunate situation. Let's put that to a side here because I agree with everything you just said there. Let's put that to a side. I think it's a tough place still to play. Kansas State is a team. They need this game to salvage their season. I think if Kansas State loses this game, their season will unravel even worse. And I think people will wonder if them losing their offensive coordinator and former player, Colin Klein, who left there a couple years ago to go to A&M, I wonder if that has impacted this program that had Big 12 title aspirations before this season. So I think it's a tough – you're almost running into a buzzsaw there a little bit. But I don't think UCF's playing with a lot of – I think nothing to lose here. You're still the underdog. You're still at 3 – you're at 3 wins. Nobody picked you before the season to win this game. So, we'll see what happens.
And you said something about Kansas State having the bye week. UCF had a bye week going into North Carolina, and you can't discount that. Now, Scott Frost didn't always do well coming out of a bye week at Nebraska. We saw what Gus Malzahn did with the bye week, but we'll see now if Kansas State can utilize what they had that time off for. Let's talk a little fantasy football, Elo. We got a bye week, not a bye week, a pickup week after this game. I had 18.5 this week, Elo, but Adam Eaton had 25 points, and you had 8. How about this for season-to-date tallies? Elo, you bring up the rear here, 41.5. I'm at 48.5, and Adam at 64.5. You got to get off the schneid here, Elo. You got to get moving.
My team needs a bye. This transaction we can't get here soon enough.
I'm curious who you're going to drop. We'll talk about that. We'll make those waiver wire selections next week's Around the Kingdom, Elo. Scheduled draft, though, that went well for me.
Yeah, you had this win over North Carolina. Props to you. They're
which is funny because I didn't pick UCF to beat North Carolina in our season predictions, in which I went 6-6. But Adam had them. That's why he had them at 7-5. But in the scheduled draft, I got it right. So good for me on that one, Elo.
Adam's the one that's got UCF and Kansas State this week.
That's
why he's not. Maybe that's why he's not on the show. Maybe he's game planning, preparing.
Elo, let's go around the Big 12. Big news, of course, to begin the week. Mike Gundy fired after a long tenure at Oklahoma State. Too soon, or he didn't play NIL and the transfer portal properly, and it came and bit him?
Yeah, I was surprised it took this long. It was till Tuesday when he was announced officially he was fired. I mean, I thought after the Friday night loss to Tulsa, he'd be done by Saturday, Sunday. They were going in the wrong direction. They were humiliated at Oregon. So I wasn't shocked. He made changes to the coaching staff a year ago. Clearly they're on the downside. I think they needed a fresh start for both sides. We'll see what direction they go. Keep in mind, Alex Golish, former GA at Oklahoma State, if you want to look at some names there. As well as Colin Klein, as I just mentioned earlier in the show, could be a candidate there. Will Stein, the offense coordinator at Oregon.
Hey, I throw one out to you. G.J. Kinney, Texas State.
Ooh.
I think there's a name to watch. You mentioned the loss to Oregon. No shame in losing Oregon. You can't lose 69-3 at Oregon. And if you're going to do that, and you come back home and you host Tulsa, you can't allow Tulsa to win in your house for the first time since 1951. You cannot do both of those things. You can lose at Oregon, but you can't lose by 66 points. I mean, it all combined.
No, they've earned the right to be the worst team in the Big 12. But you know who might be the best team is Texas Tech, Trace, who went into Salt Lake and put a spanking on the Utes, especially in the fourth quarter. Perhaps some quarterback controversy at Texas Tech. Their backup lighted up. Morton struggled. It was a defensive struggle. Listen, Trace, that Texas Tech defense looks legit. I know people don't want to hear that. They spent all this money on that roster. You wonder how it fit. Boy, that defense looks legit. And if they can figure out their offense, they might be the best team in the Big 12. They were very impressive, dominating Salt Lake. And good news for the Big 12, over 4 million people watched that game between Texas Tech and Utah. People criticizing the move, putting that game at noon Eastern. Was it right or not? From a television standpoint, it was the right move for the Big 12. So big win for them. And Texas Tech, who has Houston looming in a big game up in Houston next Saturday night. There's whispers that if an FSU were to lose to Virginia, the game day might go to Houston for Texas Tech Houston. So keep that in mind.
Interesting. We talk about how money can buy rosters. I mean, there's certainly an early return on the investment at Texas Tech. And I will say this, you talk all the time about brands, Elo. Notre Dame hangs in the top 25. Utah, one loss, right, to Texas Tech, a talented team, and gets knocked out. So a little more respect needing to be earned by the Big 12.
Correct. Now, Trace, you were at the game Saturday against North Carolina. The question is it going to be the last time, Trace, that you and many and thousands of people will get to see UCF host a Power 4 school at the Bounce House? ACC came out on Monday saying they're going to adopt the model of 9 conference games plus 1 non-conference game guaranteed against the Power 4 school following the SEC model. There are reports by the stash, Brett McMurphy, that the Big 12 is going to follow suit. This could come as soon as next year, no later than 2027, according to ESPN Andrea Adelson. And Trace, you look at the future schedule for UCF in the Bounce House, it's a little light, isn't it?
It is a little light, and I would just say for the people that blasted Danny White for not scheduling out, and Terry Mohajir is one of them, you see how everything changes around you. And now you're going to see these schools that need to drop games. Florida already cutting Arizona State, Cal, Stanford, right? They're dropping these games. You talk about high-profile matchups. 2026 right now on the books, Elo. Bethune-Cookman at home at Pittsburgh, UMass. No marquee game there, though they'll have the 5 conference games. I didn't look that up, so I don't know which schools are coming to UCF in 2027 at North Carolina, which I think gets played, but without Bill Belichick. UT Martin, that powerhouse UT Martin in the Bounce House in Louisiana. 2028, Maine at home at Northwestern. I think that stays. FAU at home. 2029, James Madison, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh could be a little wobbly, right, with the ACC schedule.
Well, especially because Pitt has to host West Virginia that year. So you would think they'd be more likely to buy themselves out of the UCF game than the West Virginia game, which is the backyard brawl. There's a lot of history there.
2030, Florida, 2031, Northwestern. Well, I think that the ADs work it out as long as it's these current ADs. New AD or ADs may not be as interested in keeping that. They said that they'll work it out even if they have to change the dates for it. I don't know that we get both of those games played on the schedule, Elo. Props, Elo. We dropped it when you were not available with us last week. We returned it. What do you got?
That's right. I'm the exclusive props guy here. All right. So this game's at FS1, noon Eastern. Now, we don't have the numbers for the Carolina game as we record this. However, speculation is they got spanked by Oklahoma, for example. 6 million viewers watched Oklahoma beat Auburn.
Brands matter.
Slot. And Michigan, over 5.3 million, beating Nebraska, the most watched game on CBS this year. So odds are we didn't do so well. So I'm going to give you a number, TV number. Here, Trace.
Yeah.
For UCF Kansas State, FS1, over under 750,000 viewers.
Ooh, that's a good number you've picked there, Elo.
Thank you.
It will not hit 1 million. That's for sure. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under 688. I don't think anybody's tuning in for that. I don't know who's stumbling on that. What do you got?
I would agree with you, Aisha. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 720 is my official number.
720, but under the 750. We'll see who's closer to the pin. All right, Elo, let's put all the Olympic sports together. Volleyball, women's soccer, men's soccer. What's your big takeaway from the week that was a 0-0 draw, women's soccer, West Virginia. Men lose on the road at Kentucky. Volleyball travels to Memphis, Alabama, wins, but they still have that blemish of having lost to Baylor in their conference opener. What's your big takeaway amongst these three?
Well, women's soccer, RPI officially came out this week in women's soccer. UCF 25 in the RPI.
That's high, Elo, higher than I thought.
I know you weren't thrilled with the scoreless draw against West Virginia.
No, because they missed a PK, Elo.
Oh, killer. But at least it's a quality draw. You're right. That would have been huge. You hope that doesn't haunt you down the road. But they put themselves in position where if they do well in the Big 12, I think they'll return to the NCAA tournament. Men's soccer, on the other hand, 93 on the RPI. They got top 10 ranked West Virginia coming in Sunday night. It does not get easier for Scott Calabrese and company, who gave up 3 goals in the second half, losing at Kentucky. And then volleyball had a nice bounce back after getting swept by Baylor at home to go up in Tuscaloosa. Can they build momentum against Cincinnati at home? I think if you want to say you're a better volleyball team than you were a year ago or the last couple of years, you've got to win your home matches here against teams like Cincinnati, who also has a first-year head coach. So to me, that's where we're at with the fall sports. But I think women's soccer on the road, can they keep getting quality results, Trace, in position to make the tournament?
Yeah, even a draw against a quality opponent, does not hurt you. One more thing before we go, Elo. The Big 12 men's basketball schedule is out. UCF opens league play at home against Kansas on Saturday, January 3. And look for former Knight Mustafa Cham, now with Cincinnati, in the arena on Sunday, January 11th. I think he might get some boos, Elo. You'll find Around the Kingdom on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel, also on the Sons podcast feed, wherever you download your audio. For Eric Lopez, Adam Eaton, I'm Trylko. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for this week's Around the Kingdom.